Okay, we are doing chapter 7, lesson 2. We're building on our knowledge of angles. So today we're going to be dealing with complementary and supplementary angles. Before we begin, I need everybody to make sure you're paying close attention today because there are going to be a lot of pitfalls in this one, meaning a lot of trick questions. Like the textbook does not do a great job of setting this up 1,000% correctly. So be paying very close attention. No devices should be open and amp up groups. Yeah, I know you guys went through the first part. Still pay attention. No. Why? Yeah, for the notes, you gotta go back for work. All right, so today, complementary and supplementary angles. This is our vocab for today. We have complementary and supplementary angles and this symbol, M and then angle 1, which we will talk about today. We're going to skip the real world link and we're going to go straight into our vocab. If you don't write this down in time, you may want to copy it down, all of it, from OneNote once we're done. So at least do a box so you have room for this. But we're going to go over this. Two angles are complementary if the sum of their measure is 90 degrees, meaning if you take two angles and you add them together, they should equal 90 degrees. That is complementary. If it does not equal 90 degrees, any other number, not complementary. Has to equal 90 exactly. If two angles are supplementary, then the sum of their measures is 180 degrees. So basically, they're complementary if they make 90 degrees, which is what kind of angle, ladies and gentlemen? Right angle. And if they're supplementary if they add up to 180 degrees, which is known as a, ladies and gentlemen, straight angle. So you can add that into your notes. Over here, you have those weird symbols. M angle 1 plus M angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Amp up group, you can't answer this because you already know the answer to this. What do we think M angle 1 equals? What do we think M angle 1 means? Nobody knows? M angle 1 plus M angle 2? Nobody has any idea what M equals? Or what M means? So M stands for measure. So this basically right here means measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2. So we have angle 1 right here, angle 2 right here. If we add those two together, we get 90 degrees. That would make this complementary. Supplementary, measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. Therefore, this is supplementary. Now, before we begin, this is your first pitfall. We can tell right off the bat, if no information is given to us, what kind of angle is this? How do you guys know? Who can raise their hand? No, who can raise their hand and tell me why they know it's a right angle? That little box is a right angle symbol, which means that is a right angle. So we know this is 90 degrees. No context here. What do we know? What do we know about this one? Then don't raise your hand. So what do we assume? What do we think? Okay, so this is your very first pitfall. This is why I don't like this textbook. Just because that's a straight line does not mean that's 180 degrees. There's no indication that that's 180 degrees. None whatsoever. The way this is right now, there's not enough information. This gives us enough information because that symbol there means this is 90 degrees. The way we know this is 180 degrees is because this information is given to us alongside it. Measure of angle 3 plus measure of angle 4 is 180 degrees, so we know that is a straight angle now. So this chapter, the biggest challenge is you reading the questions carefully and realizing if there is or is not enough information given. Are we clear on this? So do not assume because it looks like this that it is that. So here's another pitfall. Just because you see an angle that looks like a right angle, because it's drawn out like a right angle, does not mean it's a right angle unless you see that little box or it tells you this is a right angle or it tells you this is 90 degrees. There's a lot of information given to you to indicate what type of angle it is. Some of your questions on your test, you may answer with not enough information. So here's an example. Just because it looks like a 90-degree angle, does that mean it's a 90-degree angle? Ladies and gentlemen? No. What information would I need in order to make this a 90-degree angle? Give me one example. Pixar, give me one example. Okay, so the box would be one. Unless we do a different color. What's another thing that they could indicate besides the box? There are two other things that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head that could indicate this is a 90-degree angle. Nope. Physically on your test, like seeing it on your test, what could indicate that it's a right angle? No. There are two more that I can think of. There's the other one. There's one of them. If it shows that this is 90 degrees, the box is not needed. But if it tells you that the angle is 90 degrees, then you automatically know it's a right angle. And the other one's super simple, and it's going to hit you guys in the face when you guys realize what I'm talking about. What's the last indicator that it's a right angle? The directions. These three different things are going to indicate what type of angle it is. For a right angle, at least. Remember, for a straight angle, there is no symbol like this to show you that it's a straight angle. You need to read the questions to tell you that it's 180 degrees or if it is a straight angle. We clear? So, going off on a tangent, when you guys see your homework page, it's very important that you guys update OneNote because a lot of these questions could not be answered based on how they were worded. I show you here that this is a straight angle, so now you can answer the question. I tell you this one is not a straight angle, so you can answer the question. And then look at how many more didn't give us enough information. This one's also a straight angle. I just didn't draw it on there yet. And it's not going to let me because this thing's mean. There we go. So, yeah, there's a lot of misinformation here. So it's very important that you guys pay close attention. Luckily, I'm the one making the test this time, so we shouldn't run into that. But there may be a few in there that are curveballs to see if you guys are paying attention. Are we clear? We'll go over more examples like that. This one, we can tell because it tells us it's supplementary, and it gives us the example that angle 3 and angle 4 equal 180 degrees. All right, let's see this. Here's one of those that does not give us enough information. I'm telling you right now, right off the bat, not enough information. It's asking, is this pair of angles complementary, supplementary, or neither? Now, by looking at it, you're automatically assuming that's a straight angle, right? But there's not enough information there to tell me if it's a straight angle. Is there? Okay. So, this is something I could do. What happens if I do this? And this is going to be really easy. Nothing like this is going to be on your test, but just by telling you that those two angles right there, this will be angle 4 and this will be angle 3. Is that enough information now for you to make your decision? Okay. Now explain to me why it is. Who can raise your hand and tell me why you can determine that that is complementary, supplementary, or neither? Nope, that's not a good explanation. There's a lot to the explanation that I need. You can't answer because we went over this in AMP. Nice try. No, you can't go. We went over this in AMP. Non-AMP people, he kind of gave you a hint because he said something if you guys were paying attention. Remember, this is building on last lesson. How can I tell that angles 1 and 2 are complementary, supplementary, or neither? Okay, so what does that mean? Tell me. You gotta expand on that. There's more to it. So they're vertical. So what are you telling me?
The angle or the 1 and 2 is vertical from the
Okay. So what would be the measurement of angle 1?
100.
Okay. So angle 1 is 100 degrees. What about angle 2?
80.
Okay. Do you guys see what he did there? Measure of angle 1 is vertical from measure of angle 4. Those are vertical angles. We learned this last lesson. Everybody's eyes should be up here. What does that mean? If two angles are vertical, they're also what? And this is the vocab term I'm looking for. What's the vocab term? If two angles are vertical, they're also what? Congruent, which means what? They have the same... M starts with an M. They have the same measure. They have the same measurement. So, angle 1 and angle 4 are both 100 degrees. Now, angle 2 and angle 3, since we know angle 3 is 80, should also be 80. Now, with that information, can I decide if angle 1 and 2 are complementary, supplementary, or neither? Ladies and gentlemen, what would they be? Would angles 1 and 2 be complementary, supplementary, or neither? Why would they be supplementary? You're not wrong, but why? Who can help her out? Because 100 plus 80 equals 180 degrees. This is supplementary. Ladies and gentlemen, this type of question will be on your test. So, a big explanation. This is one of those where you can give me a paragraph of what happened. So, you have to show me exactly what happened. So, let me recap what the answer would be. Angle 1 and angle 4 are vertical, therefore congruent. So angle 1 equals 100 degrees. Angle 2 and angle 3 are vertical, therefore congruent. So angle 2 equals 80 degrees. Angles 1 and 2 together, 180 would make 180 degrees. Therefore, angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. And that would be your answer. Now, if I were to change the numbers and you add it together and it doesn't equal 180 degrees, then you'd say it's not supplementary because it does not equal 180 degrees. So neither. You have to explain your thinking with this. So again, you guys learned this last lesson. When angles are directly across from each other, they will equal what that is. So angles 1 and angle 4 are going to be congruent. Angle 2 and angle 3 are going to be congruent. If you don't get information for either one of these two, but you have the information for these, you should be able to find out. Are we clear? This whole test is going to be a lot of, what's it called? This whole test is going to be a lot of problem solving. So, for example, let's say this is the question. Let's say this is the question. We're going to go off script here a little bit. Let's say, boom, this is going to be 71.5 degrees. Okay? Now, hang on. This is your test question. This is a practice test question. You're going to work with your group. I'm going to pause the recording as well. Here's your information for your question. Okay? Here's the information you have for your question. The measurement, or let's just say this. Angles 3 and 4 are supplementary. That's your first part of your information, okay? Angles 3 and 4 are supplementary. With that being known, find the value of angles 1, 3, and 4. That's enough information for you. With your group, go. Okay, so since you guys had a time to already work on this, I gave you 2 pieces of information. The 2 pieces of information were that angles 3 and 4 were what, ladies and gentlemen? Supplementary. And I gave you that angle 2 was 71.5 degrees, not negative, so I'll draw this little arrow here. It is 71.5 degrees. Now, dissect the information I gave you. The side talking is not going to help right now. I'm going to give you more time to solve this, but I need you guys to help me walk through this. So I only talk to 2 groups. Now I'm talking to the whole class. If angles 3 and 4 are supplementary, what does that mean? Who can raise their hand? Not the 2 groups I talked to. Who can raise your hand and tell me what that should mean? Dissect the information I gave you. Angles 3 and 4 are supplementary. Jaden. If I add angle 3 and add angle 4 together, they should equal 180 degrees. Okay? So that information's given. Now that I understand that, can I find any of the missing measurements right off the bat? Kevin.
Angle 3.
How can I find what angle 3 is?
Because it's vertical with angle 2.
Okay, now this is where this group, stop. This is where you need to be very concise with your information because you're going to write out how you know this. How do I know angle 3 equals angle 2?
Because they're vertical.
Okay, that's step 1. They're vertical. What else does that mean? Since they're vertical, that means they're also... Somebody want to tag in and help him? Ozias? So that means they're also congruent, and then I need what that means. That means they both...
Equal the same measurement.
There we go. I'm looking for that. They both have the same measurement. They both equal the same measurement. The board measurement should be in there. So those are your 3 things for that description. Angle 3 and angle 2 are vertical. Therefore, they are congruent. That means they have the same measurement. So angle 3 will be 71.5 degrees. And like you guys said, since these two added together will equal 180 degrees, you should be able to find that out. And then once you find what angle 4 is, how do you find angle 1?
Because it's vertical and congruent with angle 1.
So once you find angle 4, that will be what angle 1 equals. Now, I'm going to give you guys some time to figure out what angles 1 and 4 are. Go. How many groups? Oh, some groups weren't done. Back group, you guys aren't done, right? You are done? This group done yet? No. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording. All right, so now that you guys have had time, what are the measurements of angles 1 and 4, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, shh, I'm waiting for the class to stay quiet because I couldn't hear the students right in front of me and I couldn't hear them. What are the measurements of angles 1 and 4, ladies and gentlemen? No. You all just failed the test on that one. What did they forget on their answer? Degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to put... So again, it's like, how tall are you? 5. That makes 0 sense. You add the measurement. If you tell me this angle is this, that the only time that works is because society's like, how old are you? Then you give a number. You don't say years. It's almost like an unwritten law that it's kind of conditioned. But when someone asks you how tall you are or how much you weigh, you don't just say a number. You have to put the measurement as well. So I'll wait because you guys are being recorded and you guys are wasting time. The degree symbol has to be added. If it's not added in the test, I will mark you wrong. So again, the measure, and this is how you would write your answer. Measure of angle 1 equals what again? So 108.5 degrees, is that what you guys said? Okay, how did you get to that conclusion?
180 minus 71.5 is...
There you go. So if these two measurements here together equal 180, just take 180 and subtract 71.5 from it. Guess what? You just did algebra because I'm subtracting this 71.5 from here. I subtract 71.5 from here. My missing value, 4, which is also x. So 71.5 plus x equals 180. You just gave me what x equals. You guys basically did algebra. This is what this boils down to. So, again, I just explained it. So, make sure that you guys understand the relationships between angles and how this works. With this type of question, again, going back to it, yes, the textbook says it's enough, but that there's not enough information there. And again, I'm making the test, so it should be fine. This table, I'm not telling you guys one more time. If you guys are talking, I'm sending you days to the office. Are we clear? Are we clear? Now, question 2, there is totally enough information here, and this is why I want to come back and touch to it, because you guys saw these examples. For angles to be complementary or supplementary, they do not need to be adjacent. They do not need to be next to each other. These two examples gave us ones that are adjacent, but they don't need to be. So with this one, with angle 1 being 60 and the other angle being 30, 60 plus 30 makes everybody. So these two angles are complementary. Now, we have three problems here that give us, or two problems here that give us completely enough information. Again, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because this line is bent doesn't mean that it's not a straight line. They're trying to test your guys' senses. Again, if I write an angle like this, that doesn't mean it's a right angle. It could literally be off by a degree. So don't immediately assume. Again, look for the warning signs. In this case, they gave us both measurements. So for A, 80 and 90, 85 and 90 degrees. If I add those two together, what do I get, ladies and gentlemen? 175 degrees. So are these two complementary, supplementary, or neither? Neither, because they do not add up to 180 or 90. Now, right off the bat, if I look at this question again, I can immediately cut out that it's complementary, right? Because one angle is 90 and the other angle is 85. And if I'm adding, it's already going to be bigger than 90. So we're done. Not complementary. We're looking to see if it's supplementary, and we did, and it wasn't. Now, for B, I've got 75 and 15 degrees. If I add those two together, what do I get? 90 degrees. So that means that B, these two angles are complementary. And I would write complementary. And if this were your homework, you would draw out these angles and then just write complementary or show your math that you did. Okay. Now we're talking about finding the missing measure. Now, last lesson I said I wasn't going to deal with the algebra for that lesson, but for this lesson, you will be dealing with the algebra and it will show up on your test. So here's an example of this. They want you to find the missing value of x. Now, there's enough information given here. Right off the bat, what type of angle is this, ladies and gentlemen? Right angle. We know that. Why? I didn't say ladies and gentlemen. The square, the right angle symbol is right there. That means that all of this should be 90 degrees. Understood so far? Yes. We don't need to yell. Okay, so with that being said, how can I solve this problem? And I'm going to give you guys a hint. You're doing algebra. How can I figure out what x equals? What would be my first step to setting up this problem? Your hint is it's algebra.
90 minus 28, or 90 degrees minus 28 degrees is whatever after x.
No, because there's a 2 in front of it. So you're going down the right path, but we're not there yet. I think it clicked for Alex. Alex, how would I set up this problem? No, we're not solving it. How do I set it up? I want you guys to set up an algebraic equation to solve this. You guys have all the information. Shalom, help him out. There you go. So 28, because remember, these two angles, 28 degrees, which is one angle, and 2x degrees, which was the other angle, should be 90 degrees because it's a right angle, right? There is your algebraic equation right off the bat. 28, so right here, 28 plus the 2x degrees should be 90 degrees because this is a right angle. So now you guys got to help me solve this. This is last chapter stuff. Again, when we're trying to figure out okay, let me rephrase this. What is the purpose of algebra, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, we forgot already. Ozias knows. Hang on. Ozias knows. Not always x, but to solve for what? What's another way of saying variable? Someone said it in the back. Quit chewing on that. That's how you get staph infection. A variable is what? What is a variable? Not the constant. Okay, everybody freeze. Because you guys are just yelling random things now, and it's getting annoying, and this is picking everything up. And this is going to be on YouTube now. Okay, again, the purpose of algebra is to find the variable but that's not the exact definition. The variable is what? What does a variable represent? A missing value. So that's what we're missing. We're missing what x equals. We need to know what this angle is. So what would be my very first step? Someone said constant earlier. So my first step would be to move the, ladies and gentlemen, which is 28. I have to undo what is happening. Since 28 is positive, I'm just going to subtract. Guess what? This is what you guys would have done, and this is what Kevin said to do earlier. Now I'm going to have 2x equals whatever 90 minus 28 is. Ladies and gentlemen, what is 90 minus 28? Now that we've solved that, now, if it were just a missing side, Kevin, that would have worked, but guess what? We're multiplying, so that's why we couldn't do that. In the other one, we could do that because it was literally just a missing value. But now it's a number multiplying by a missing value, and that's why we had to set it up as an algebraic equation. Alex, what's my next step? I don't pick on kids that are begging.
Can't you just do 28 plus 2 times solve for x, which is just 3, get 90?
X is not 3. X is not equal 3. So what would be my next step? Ladies and gentlemen, I have 2x equals 62. Sophia, what's my next step? By? Why am I dividing by 2? Inverse operation. Because this is multiplication, so I'm going to divide. And remember, I do it by both sides. X will now equal 62 divided by 2, which is, ladies and gentlemen, 31. Now, technically, the answer is 31, because if you look here, it's 2x and then degrees outside. If you put 31 degrees as your answer, I'm not going to be Hitler about it and mark you wrong. It's fine. But remember, on the other ones, when you tell me the value, if you don't have a degree on it, I'm marking you wrong. So if you put 31 degrees, it's fine. Technically not right. It is 31. X equals 31. And they did the exact same thing that we did on our end. Now let's go to another pitfall. This type of question gives me enough information. The angles shown are supplementary. Boom. They told me that this is going to together equal what, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, find the value of x. We're not going to do that yet. I want to highlight something. If this sentence is not there, that's a game changer, right?
Yeah.
Find the value of x. Can you find the value of x now?
No.
Why? Who can raise your hand and tell me why?
Because we don't know if it's supplementary or not.
We don't know. You're getting on the right track. We don't know what. What do we not know? There's something we don't know. There we go. We don't know what this equals together. You guys are going to assume it's 180, but again, we can't assume because there's no symbol here that tells me that, right? With the last example, it didn't tell me they were complementary, did it? But we knew they were 90 degrees. Why? How did we know, ladies and gentlemen? The symbol. There is no symbol for straight angles. So we need more information. Something like this sentence, that the two angles shown are supplementary, or like what I did with the homework, where I do this and this equals 180 degrees. You have to look out for that. If you see a test like this, like a test question like this, where this is marked off, it's just like find the value of x, your answer would be not enough information to solve. Or if I ask you the question, can you solve this question, why or why not, then you'd go in more depth. Like Kevin said, no, we can't solve this because we don't know what the two angles equal when you add them together. Therefore, we can't find the missing value. We can't find x. I can't set up an algebraic equation. I can't find it. So please be aware, those types of questions will be on your test. You need to study for this. If we were to solve this correctly, again, it'd be 123 plus 3x equals 180. Subtract 123 from both sides. 3x equals 53. Divide by 3, x equals 19. That's how we would solve that one. All right. Now we come to another one of these that doesn't give us enough information. The textbook thinks it does. It doesn't. I can't solve this the way that it is. Why can't I not solve it the way that it is? there's
Because we don't know if it's supplementary, or if we don't know what the angle will be, or what it equals.
okay. But there's a right angle right there. Isn't that enough information, ladies and gentlemen? What one thing could I add to this that would give me enough information? No, I'm not even thinking words. Just give me one thing that I could add to this.
The box in the corner on the.
There we go. If I were to put another right angle symbol there, that would be enough information, right? So let's pretend that that right angle box is actually there. Now can you guys solve for x? Do that with your group. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming back because this one was a quick one. So, originally, this did not give us enough information. But the second we put the right angle box on the other side, it does. Now, I know the textbooks go, well, the rule of thumb, if this is 90 degrees, the other one should be. Again, it could literally be off by a degree. The rule of thumb here is, yes, this is a ray, so it should be one straight line. Okay, given. But in this case, I'm giving you the 90 degrees on the other side. Are we clear? This should be 90 degrees then. We don't even need to look at this side. That side's irrelevant now. If this side is 90 degrees, and there are two x's, and x have to be equal, what should they both be, ladies and gentlemen? No.
45 degrees.
Thank you. 45 degrees. Again, guys, I'm going to drill you in your head until you guys get it. X would need to equal 45 degrees. Actually, no. In this case, no. No. Hang on. Rewind. You guys were technically right because the degree symbol's already there. Now, hang on. Let me rephrase the question. Each angle here would need to be what, ladies and gentlemen?
45 degrees.
There we go. Then it would be 45 degrees. So look at the question. If I ask what's the value of x, yeah, it's 45. I was wrong there. But if I ask you what the value of each angle is, so again, this test, this chapter has a lot of ELA in it. You got to pay attention to the directions. You got to pay close attention to what they're asking, if there's enough information in the question or not. Now, we're going to go ahead and go straight into the homework. Again, you need to sync your OneNote because if you do not see this red writing on your homework, you are not going to be able to do it correctly. Do not look at the answer page for this. Are we clear? The answer page is not going to help you. Guess what? For number one, there's not enough information. I get that those are straight lines, and we would say, oh, based on the lines, yeah, it should be, 180 degrees. I get that, but they still need to have more indication. The rule of thumb is rays are straight. Rays are straight lines. A ray is the line to form angles. This should be a straight line, so we would know right off the bat this is 180 degrees. I don't know where the 1 went, but there we go, 180 degrees. So just be aware, yes, the textbook is technically right, but at the same time, it's semantics. So I'm labeling these as 180 degrees. Now on your test, I'm not going to. Now, I'm going to give you guys another example. Look at this. The rays should be straight lines, but look at that. That one's bent, right? This is why I don't like this. Rays are supposed to be straight lines. This is why I wrote 180 on everything. Number 3 should be neither. But they don't give us enough information to say that. That's why I put here that from here to here is not 180 degrees. Fair enough? So, for your homework, you need to draw out every single one of these shapes. Please add what I have written in. I'm going to actually write this in red because that's bugging me that it's a different color. 180. And please do not go in the habit of looking at the answer sheet because it's not going to help you. And then same thing with this one. You guys are going to use algebra to find the missing length, the missing value. And this one is 180 degrees. That one's 180 degrees, and so on. You will have today the 3 minutes that you have left and tomorrow's workday to get this done. That's the lesson.